Hi guys, Alan Taddei here from TDi Media, complete with new haircuts. This sort of haircut takes work. Today I want to give you my thoughts on the offer from Deontay Wilder to Anthony Joshua, and it's an interesting offer to say the least. However, I think it opens Deontay Wilder up to a counter offer which may not necessarily be in his favour, but I'll just give you my thoughts on it. Now apparently he has offered $50 million guaranteed. Basically, it's a 50-50 deal, as I understand it from what Eddie Hearn was saying yesterday when I watched Eddie Hearn's response. 50-50 based on a guarantee of 50 million. Now, if you remember a week or 2 weeks ago, Anthony Joshua said, you know what, if you think there's 100 million in the fight and you want 60-40, then pay me $60 million. I tell you what, pay me $50 million up front, I'll take the fight. Now, he did use the phrase up front, and I thought that was a little bit surprising. He didn't say, guarantee me $50 million. He said, pay me $50 million up front. So that said, it sounds like from what Deontay Wilder was saying that the money is in the bag, i.e., the money's all secured, it's all there, I've sent you the offer, so let's make the fight. Now, Eddie Hearn was saying that, you know, we need to see, for example, proof of funds. So the strange thing about this offer is that it's come from Deontay Wilder himself, not his team. That's a little bit strange, not least because there was supposed to be a meeting today, Thursday, as I'm presenting this, but the team put that meeting back a day to Friday. Now, you could understand that they might have wanted to put it back a day if they were, you know, trying to just secure the last sort of 5 or 10 million in funds. So, for example, it may well be, and I'm pretty sure when Eddie Hearn goes to that meeting tomorrow, he's going to say, okay, what's this Deontay Wilder video all about? What's happening, guys? And they may turn around and say, yeah, we've got a guaranteed $50 million in place from 30 million from a hotel, the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. We've got 10 million or 15 million from the broadcasters, and we've got sponsorship deals worth the other 5 million. So we've got 50 million funds in place. Here's the letters of credit to show that the funds are in place. We can guarantee you 50-50 split, subject to a minimum of $50 million, and there's the money in place. Now, here's the thing though. Obviously, they may want the fight in Las Vegas or in the States, maybe in New York. The problem with that is you are not maximising your pay-per-view, because if it takes place in the United States, that fight, if it's in New York, that's 5 hours behind. So a fight at 11 o'clock in the evening there will be 4 o'clock in the morning here. Not great for pay-per-view. And if it's in Las Vegas, it's even worse. It's sort of, you know, eight hours behind. So if the fight starts at 11 o'clock, you're talking potentially 7 o'clock in the morning here. Now, that's not great for pay-per-view. So in order to maximise the pay-per-view, I think it has to really take place here in the UK, because you've got maximum pay-per-views, which I think will probably be something like possibly 2 million pay-per-views. Could potentially be a little bit more because this is a big fight. And also, you've still got good pay-per-views out in America, because on the East Coast, if the fight starts here at 11 o'clock in the evening, that's 6 p.m. New York time, and what is it going to be, 3 or 4 p.m. I think, California, for example, on that side of the United States. So you're still going to get very good pay-per-views, because it's afternoon, early evening in the United States. So good time for people to tune in and watch the fight at the weekend. The problem, I think, is this, from their point of view. Eddie Hearn will want to see those funds in place, because Anthony Joshua asked for the money up front. Now, I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm assuming what he means by up front is you have to have the funds in place in escrow with solicitors, so that once that fight literally starts, if that fight starts at 11 o'clock on that first bell, those funds are then transferred by the end of that fight to Anthony Joshua or Matchroom's account. If you don't have the funds in place, though, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I think he's opened himself up to, and his team have opened themselves up to. First of all, I don't understand why Deontay Wilder's made the offer online. He loves going on social media. The team asked for a meeting on Friday. Why haven't you waited until Friday? Why'd you put it out on social media? That's the first thought. Secondly, if the funds aren't in place, I'm Eddie Hearn. This is what I say to you. Okay, so, all right, so you've made the offer, 50-50, guaranteeing us 50 million. But you haven't got the funds in place. So here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'll agree to that deal. We'll guarantee the deal. We'll do your 50-50. We'll fight in the UK because that's where we're going to get the maximum pay-per-view. We're going to maximise the income. And we'll do 50-50. We take the first $50 million, 36, 38 million pounds, however much that is. That's what they've opened themselves up to. And here's the problem. I know Wilder's team and a lot of you guys out in the States have talked about this is a $100 million fight. Now, Eddie Hearn has clearly said he doesn't think it's a $100 million fight. He was talking about 40 million. I think it's more like 60 million. And don't forget, we're not talking about turnover. We're not talking about the total pay-per-views turnover plus the tickets. In the UK, there's a 20% sales tax. We call it VAT here, value-added tax, sales tax in the United States. So for every ticket you sell, and for every pay-per-view that you sell, you have to pay 20% to the government in value-added tax, for example. So it's not 100 million of the total pot. When people's talking about 100 million, even if it was 100 million coming into the pot, you've got to pay 20% in VAT. Then you've got to pay for the stadium fees, the stewarding, the cost of selling the tickets. Whoever's selling the tickets for you, they take their cut, so on and so forth. So when people talk about splits, it's a split of the profit, not a split of the turnover. And here's the problem with that. So let's say it was an $80 million turnover fight by the time all the funds come in. By the time you take the sales tax out and everything else, there may only be $60 million profit left. Now, if that was the case, then Deontay Wilder would only be getting $10 million. If it was $50 million, let's say worst case scenario, Anthony Joshua is pocketing the whole lot and Deontay Wilder is not getting paid at all. Because that is the offer I believe Eddie Hearn will counter with. Because you know what? That's the offer I would counter with. And if I do it, I'm pretty sure Eddie's astute enough to know, you know what, I see a little bit of an opportunity here. We are guaranteeing ourselves the first $50 million from the profits, and you get the rest. And then let's say, for example, he'd be able to say to them, you know, you think there's $100 million in the fight, you're getting 50 million. We'll take the first 50. If there's 100 million in it, you get 50 million. If there's 120 million in it, then for that extra 20, they get an extra 10 apiece, because it's 50-50, subject to a minimum to Anthony Joshua of $50 million. That would be my counter offer, and that is what I believe Eddie Hearn will counter if they don't have the funds in place. Now, let me be clear, as an Anthony Joshua fan, for all you Wilder fanboys out there, I agree. Somebody's already said he has to take the fight, because he's already been on YouTube saying, you give me 50 million, deal done. Now here's the thing, if they've got 50 million in place guaranteed for Anthony Joshua, then he has to take the deal, pretty much whatever the deal is. If the deal is it's 50 million, but we're fighting in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, or we're fighting at the Barclays Center in New York, then he's got to take the deal, because if he doesn't, he is losing face big time. So that's my thoughts on it, guys. Post your comments below. If they've got the money in place, he's got to take the deal. If it's in escrow or they've got letters of credit in place, and that's what Eddie Hearn will want to see, if that's there, Anthony Joshua has to take the deal. If he doesn't, he's losing face. But believe me, if you haven't got the funds in place, Eddie Hearn is going to counter with the same offer. Tell you what, guys, happy with that offer, 50-50, the first $50 million of the profits, not the turnover, guys. I think people are forgetting this. There's 20% in sales tax got to come off whatever sales you get to start off, just to kick it off, and then all the costs of putting the fight on, whether that's in the UK or the US. But we take the first $50 million profit, we'll give you the rest, up to 50-50, and then if it makes $120 million profit, guess what? They get $60 million each. That, I think, is the problem with Deontay Wilder going online and making this statement before Eddie Hearn has had the chance to go and have the meeting with his management. I'm not sure why Deontay Wilder would do this, unless he's the type of character, which you know he is. He gets overexcited about, he's had a meeting with his management, they've been on the phone, yeah, we've got the 50, yeah, we think we can offer the 50 million, and he's gone straight online and made that posting. When, to be honest with you, it doesn't make any sense that. If I was his managers, I would not be happy with him doing that, because they've already put the meeting that was supposed to go on today back a day. Now that suggests to me that they're trying to get some last minute stuff signed up. Maybe they've got 40 million off letters of credit from hotel broadcasters, and they're trying to just raise the last little bit from sponsorship. They know they might be there on Friday, but they're not quite there today, so they wanted to give themselves another 24 hours. That's why maybe they've put the meeting back. It certainly makes a lot of sense, that. And then Deontay Wilder's done this. But either way, if the funds are in place, Joshua has to take the deal, wherever the fight is. And I don't think they can come back and say, yeah, well, we like that deal, but yeah, we don't want it to take place in New York, or we don't. He's asked for a deal, Anthony Joshua. He's been videoed saying, I tell you what then, you give me 50 million, I'll take the fight. He cannot now turn down that fight wherever in the world they want it to be. The States, the UK. To be honest, I think the UK makes more sense, because they, if they're raising the money, will make more money from pay-per-view in the UK than if it's in the US. You're going to possibly, I don't know, maybe halve your potential pay-per-view income if it's in the US, but that's up to you guys. If the money's in place, he has to take it. If it isn't, you've opened yourself up to a huge counter offer by Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn will jump on that in the meeting if they haven't got the funds in place. Tell you what, guys, happy with that deal. We'll do you 50-50. We take the first 50 million. Post your comments below. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more of my thoughts on boxing. I love doing these little videos for you. Subscribe, click the like button. If you're going to click the hate button, then have some intellect in your hate. Make sure that when you're saying, no, you're wrong, make sure you point out why you think I'm wrong. I'll see you again soon.